officer. How's the investigation going?
I see. You must be the traveler that Lady Farina mentioned. Listen, I'll be perfectly honest with you.
Huh? What do you mean?
Come with me and you'll see. The deceased is one of Linny's assistants, named Cowell. Even though he hadn't joined the troupe long, The assistants are usually in charge of setting up and inspecting the props, as well as assisting with the show and keeping the crowd engaged. As you probably saw when you were in the audience, the water tank suddenly fell and smashed the... This is the real mystery. We've already searched the scene and were unable to find any trace. However, if you look carefully, the box was positioned directly under the water tank. The ropes holding the tank were then burned by the pirate. All these factors lining up so perfectly makes it hard to see this as a mere accident. If anything, the more logical explanation is that the whole incident was intentionally planned, and Linny is the most likely person to have access to all these areas.
But he doesn't have a motive.
Are you both good friends of his?
Well, you can't say we're good friends, but...
So in just a short time, he was not only able to win your trust, but even convince you to act as his attorney. I know there's no such thing as magic. The real trick of a magician is... I've seen a lot of cases, and I can tell you that people are... Sorry, I tend to be pretty straightforward. Anyway, you may investigate the scene of the crime yourselves if you're curious. Who knows?
The investigation team has some new findings. Turns out there's an issue with the random number selector after all.
See, I told you. What if the machine picked some big guy's seat?
Sorry to interrupt, but we're helping Linny and Lynette with their side of the investigation.
You're trying to help them? That'll be...
Linny used the machine to pick a random member of the audience during his performance, right? The lucky girl that later disappeared. Well, we thought there might be a serious problem with the machine, so we had it taken away for further inspection.
It turns out that the seat number it picked wasn't random at all. The machine picks that same number every time. I'm sure you already know that you have to make a reservation in advance to get a seat, regardless of whether it's a trial or some performance. In other words, Linny knew who would be sitting where from the very beginning.
That much checks out. Linny reserved our seats for us.
Let you see why I was saying it'd be tough to make a case for Linny.
Even though it's bad for Linny's case, Paimon had better write it down.
Oh, this location has also been cordoned off because the magic troupe members are currently considered. The seats were all booked in advance, so we were able to deduce the missing woman's identity by checking the guest list. Sure, it's not like this is confidential information. We will publish it later anyway when we petition the public to help us find the missing person. Her name is Halsey. She's a painter from Fontaine who's made a bit of a name for herself. Apparently, she wasn't a regular at the Opera House, but she'd been feeling some pressure with her work lately, which made her decide to come see them. The Magic Troupe members all claim not to know her, and we have looked into her social connections. It seems that she has no personal grievances or conflicts of interest with the suspects. Simply put, she wasn't related to the Magic Troupe at all, which matches the features of the previous serial disappearances.
Were the victims of previous cases also chosen at random?
That's how it seems to us, in any case. Apart from the fact that they were all young women of around the same age range.
Okay then.
No need to be so formal. If you do happen to see the missing girl, please be sure to contact us. It is of utmost importance that we get to the bottom of these disappearances.
So this is the rope that broke and caused the water tank to fall. The rope looks pretty durable. How can it be burned through so quickly by fireworks? Why are you suddenly so serious, Traveler? Whoa. Look! This bit is made from different material! Most of it was burned away, but there's still a little bit of it left. Huh. So if a rope meant to hold something was made with that kind of... Wait! Why don't you write all this down? Let's take notes!
I see that you're investigating the area. Well, it just so happens that I'm interested too. If you find any new and interesting leads, be sure to share them with me, all right?
We don't have too many thoughts yet.
Then why don't I tell you my hypothesis first?
The thud? Oh, you mean the sound that happened during the countdown?
Yes, exactly. It wasn't terribly loud, but nice. It's just that everyone was awaiting the results of Linny's trick with bated breath, so no one paid it much mind.
That makes...
I'm of the opinion that it may have been the sound of Linny's accomplice. Lynette, perhaps. And when the pyrotechnics went off, she cut the rope, sending the water tank crashing.
Wait, wasn't the noise we heard too loud for that?
Perhaps the balance wasn't right, leading to a particularly rough landing. Oh, that's true.
That does remind Paimon, though.
Lenny's still talking to the guards. It seems... I think someone will be assigned to monitor us later, but...
Hey, you! Yes, both of you! Over here! I've been keeping an eye on you for a while now.
Huh? You mean us?
That's right. If I'm not mistaken, you're also among those who wish to cut down the thorns and pursue the truth.
Well, you're right on the more about that one, but who are you?
Have you never heard of the Spina di Rosula? From mediating disputes and providing protection to solving conundrums, you name it, Spina di Rosula does it. And I, Navia, have the honor of being its renowned president. Though those who play by our rules call me boss.
I'm Silver, her attendant. Pleased to meet you. And I'm Melus. Demoiselle's various daily needs and affairs are under...
Huh? Boss? Demoiselle?
Well, I am the second generation president.
My apologies, Demoiselle. Should you prefer, boss?
No need. You don't have to call me boss. Just Navia is...
Okay, if you say so. Not that we're members of...
All merely trifling details. Never mind. That's right. I've always kept an eye on the serial disappearance cases. Judging from the look of things, I find Linny and...
Really? We think so too! That's why we're looking for clues now. But how did you come to that conclusion?
Intuition, naturally. My unparalleled Farina sure was quick to point the finger at Linny without any decisive evidence. But that's not uncommon for her. If you remember, the justice had to interrupt her and... Anyway, a trial begins the moment someone levels charges. And, of course...
Sounds more like you just don't trust the Hydro Archon.
Well, what's your opinion? I must admit that she can be interesting at times. But liking... All right, I've answered your question. Now, it's...
Wait a minute! Did that answer count?
Well, I say it does. But don't worry, you won't... In your opinion, do you think it's right to treat a trial like it's an opera?
Well...
And why would that be? See, Silver and Malus?
Most astute of you, Demoiselle. I, too, think that the Traveler's response was most excellent. No matter how wonderful the script or how fervent the audience's expectations may be. And if that can be done, boss, then...
All right, that's quite enough, Malus. Anyway, now, I need to make some preparations, following which our...
Wait! Since when did we become assistants?
Oh, well, I can be the assistant. Sure. Or you...
That's more like it.
Far be it from me to brag, but I believe that Demoiselle's intuition will be instrumental in You wish to save a friend from false accusations, and we wish to unravel the disappearances.
You have a point. And what about you over there? What do you think? You seem like you've got something on your mind.
I have nothing to add.
Oh, alrighty then.
We'll be making some preparations first. Just be sure to let us know if they start revealing.
Whoever the murderer was, why would it be him?
Sorry, but no one can freely enter or exit the Opera House at the moment. If you wish to leave, you must...
No, we're not leaving. We're representing Linny and Lynette. Were you always guarding this entrance?
Yes, after the Chief Justice gave the order, everyone coming in, so the missing girl couldn't have left from here. At least, not from that point on. I doubt there was much opportunity.
How can you be so sure?
Well, because I was in charge of security near the entrance and I couldn't see Linny's performance from here, which was quite a... But still, I did not abandon my post. And I stayed put no matter how loud the applause was. We Melazines are good at that sort of thing, you know.
So, it's safe to say the girl couldn't have left through here. Alright, thank you for your help. This'll be useful info. We've checked everything of note here at the performance venue. Paimon wonders how Linny's discussion with the guards is going. Let's go see, shall we? Ooh, things are getting interesting, huh? We're about to see how magic is...
Understood. Then I will be going with you. Just so you're aware, I will be monitoring your actions and making notes as necessary.
Very good. Thanks for being so agreeable. I'd pull a rose out of my hat as a gift for you if I could.
You may spare the pleasantries. I'm just doing my job.
You've arrived. Who's this?
Me? I'm Spina di Rosula's guardian angel. If you've got a problem, I've got the firepower. Sorry, I got a little carried away there. Call me Navia. And these are my companions. Would you mind if they join as well?
Fine by me.
Oh, new helpers? I would be most grateful.
Well, let's just say we're tagging along. It's not every day you get to see the secrets behind magic performed on...
I appreciate your kind interest. Come with me. We'll be heading below stage.
Huh? Below stage?
Yes, a world of secrets is hidden beneath this magic box, prepared specifically for this switcheroo trick. But before I reveal everything, you should have a look first. Notice anything strange here? I'm not trying to be dramatic. Remembering the details of a trick will help you understand the methods used to perform it more easily.
Huh. Weren't there balloons and other decorations here? Where did...
Ah, good eye. That said, you're still far from discovering the answer.
The back? You mean the inside of the door?
Very good indeed. I thought you might not be able to catch that. The back of this door was patterned. Those patterns are now gone, replaced by a smooth wooden board. So, if you put 2 and 2 together, what do you get? Exactly. All right,
Oh, so there was a passageway under the magic box!
I knew you'd figure out most of it as soon as you saw this place. The 2 magic boxes are positioned right above the 2 entrances of the tunnel. See this flatbed trolley? The box with the lucky audience member in it would be shuttled over to the other side using the trolley.
This trolley can raise and lower and even rotate, ensuring that the box will face in the right direction.
I see. So that's the purpose of the box inside another box.
Precisely. The inner box would descend after the audience member was put inside and be moved along the trolley, all while the...
So that's how you did it!
Once the box was lowered, the trolley would store some energy through this device here, with the audience member would only be able to feel some slight movements in the dark, and by the time she...
Right! You were talking that whole time, and you even came out for a moment.
Ah, yes. A phonograph operated by Lynette was used to achieve that effect. My assistant and I had already scripted our conversation beforehand. When the countdown began, I had already gone to the opposite box via a tunnel using that ladder.
And what about Lynette? Where was she?
I was in the mezzanine space in the back of the box.
Oh, interesting!
That's how we were able to coordinate Linny's lines with the assistant. And, by the way, I was the one who walked out of the box at the end.
I mean, we are twins. All it takes is a change of clothes and no one can tell who's who. And that's my favorite part of this trick. Only Lynette and I can perform it.
So that's how it all worked! Wow, every detail you...
Lynette would briefly walk out of the box and then go back in, jumping into the tunnel and escaping before the box on the trolley could finish ascending. And then I walk out of the other box in the audience area, and the trick would be complete. But as you saw, Cal was in the box, not our audience member.
We really don't know how that happened.
If not for that interlude, this would have been an astonishing trick. I probably never would have figured out how you pull... And yet, to think that someone was able to use this magic trick. Could we have a look around? I think we can come up with some more leads.
This is the scene of the crime, so Linny and Lynette are not permitted to stay here.
Yes, of course. No need to be so strict now. I won't disappear into thin air, you know.
Thanks, everyone. We're counting on you.
What's this?
Looks like a hook tied to the end of a rope. Huh?
Perhaps it was a prop for a different trick.
Whatever it is, let's make a note of it first.
The floor is wet. Please be careful not to slip.
Speaking of which, why would there be water?
Oh, Paimon knows! It's one of those tricks where you pour water and here's a broken vase. Huh.
That can't be. The trolley moves along tracks from start to finish.
Let's note this down too and think about...
Oh, these are the clothes that the lady chosen from the audience was wearing, right? Her clothes are here, but she's nowhere to be found.
Right! And do you really need to do that if you're kidnapping them? Ugh, this is so confusing. Paimon doesn't want to be a detective anymore. What is this place?
It seems someone could fit through here.
Could this have been the suspect's escape route?
Alone, perhaps. But if they had to pull another person with them, the space would be too narrow.
But there are no other ways in or out of here. Oh, you're right! Let Paimon write that down. Seems we're just about done investigating down here.
Yes, let's head back up. Well, we've ascertained the state of the crime scene. Let's find a place to sort out our findings once Malus returns. Seems...
Apologies for the wait, demoiselle.
So, what did the guards say? Did the criminal escape through the vent?
They believe the odds of that are very low, since the vent leads to the opera house. The guards have checked the area carefully. No one left through the basement during the performance or...
So the tunnels become like a secret chamber then! You know, like the kind you usually see in novels!
The plot thickens. No wonder Farina was so confident in her accusation.
In other words, the charges are very likely to be upheld unless we make some considerable progress.
Charges and then trial. So if the...
That's right. This is how a trial goes in the opera house. During the proceedings, the chief... That's right. This is how indemnitium is produced. The statements from both sides, the defenses from attorneys, witness testimonies, and even the audit... To put it simply, it's as if the oratrice has its own will, and is a judge.
This also precludes any kind of favoritism on the part of the Chief Justice. And not that this has ever happened.
Once both sides have finished speaking, the Chief Justice will make his final decision. Then, finally, the oratrice will be consulted by officials.
Huh? So that machine is the one that actually decides?
In practice, there is very little difference. Both have always come to the same judgment. Ah, yes, the guards also asked me to convey that none of us will be...
Huh?
Because we've chosen to act as the twins' proxies. That makes...
They're concerned that we might be colluding with outside parties. And even if that were not so, it could prove problematic if we happen to spread.
I'm ready to break out at any time.
Whoa! There's no need for that! Paimon thinks they have a point.
Of course. I just hope you don't mind the lack of options. I'm afraid that catering to all tastes is not in the...
In that case, let's just sort out our findings together here. Pity. I was hoping to take you to try some of... I mean, what better way to properly think through our findings than over some tea and sweets?
Huh. Breaking out suddenly doesn't seem like such a bad... Just kidding! Paimon will still do her best.
What do you mean, no snacks? Of course...
Huh? Here? But how?
Understood, Demoiselle. Everyone, please come with me.
Wait, you're carrying a portable stove with you?
Yes, I must be prepared to meet the Demoiselle's baking needs whenever the fancy strikes her.
I have eggs, sugar, and almonds at the ready.
Good work, you two. Then I'll get to it. Please sit tight for a moment. You'll get...
These three are quite the interesting group. And Paimon thought it smelled good while it was still in the oven! From the way you had these two guys carrying all that stuff around, Paimon thought you'd have them, but you ended up doing the entire thing by yourself! Beating the egg whites,
I was applauding.
And I was giving encouraging smiles.
Paimon was just thinking, aren't you worried about getting your fancy dress dirty, beating egg whites and baking?
Well, I don't think it's carved in stone anywhere that fancy ladies can only read books, sip tea, ride horse. Don't underestimate beating egg whites, by the way. It's a real arm workout. You also need to beat them to just the right consistency. Anyway, give these a try. Fresh out of the oven. There's
only 3?
Well, eating too many sweet treats might send all that sugar to your head.
Tea is ready to be served as well. This is Demoiselle's favorite, strong black tea with a floral fragrance that clears the mind. No need for concern, I'm merely doing...
All right then, down to business. As Paimon mentioned previously, however, we can assume that Linny and Lynette were not... The magician twins could have committed the crimes, of course.
Exactly! Why would they do such a thing right when everyone was watching?
The flower vase and the thud we heard during the performance could indicate some altercation between Halsey and the criminal in the tunnel, resulting in the shattering of the vase, the discarding of her clothes, and her abduction. Perhaps the criminal thought that since she was chosen from the crowd, she would be too easy to identify if she would...
Paimon thinks that makes sense, but the real trouble is...
True. None of the clues we found thus far support the existence of this third person. But the only people left to consider are both technically victims.
Huh. Could Halsey have secretly made modifications to the magic props in order to murder Cowell before making her escape?
That's right. And even if she had tampered with the setup, she would need to understand, nor does she have any motive. The guards said that she has never had any dealings with...
Were we not thorough enough in our search? From the sound of things, this is turning into an impossible case. Your macarons are amazing, though, Navia. They smell great!
They are my specialty, after all. And,
What? 5? Oh, that can't be right. Paimon only counted 3.
Please don't worry about it. At my age, a few less sweets might actually be a good thing.
No. Being greedy is one thing, but Paimon knows how to count. Besides, Paimon knows that if she ate too many, then others wouldn't have enough. Wait, even you don't believe Paimon? If Paimon ate those 2 extra macarons, then may they turn into stone in her stomach!
all right, we get it. Well, I suppose one of us might have gotten too engrossed in our... Malus, set up the stove again, if you would.
Huh? What are you doing?
Making sure everyone gets 3 macarons, of course.
Exactly. We don't want to trouble you.
As you wish, Demoiselle.
And I have the egg, sugar, and almonds.
Well, this really is your hobby, huh?
Well, that's it for snack time. I'm going to have another look around the area. I don't know what we're looking for yet, but we've still got some time. As attorneys, I suggest the two of you think the case over again. It would be awkward if you got all tongue-tied on stage during the
All right, thanks for your help and for the snacks.
It was nothing. A small task for the Spina di Rosula. Silver, Maloose, it's time to go. I'll be back if I find anything new.
All right, it's time to put our heads together. We've got to get our defense ready for the trial. Impossible things don't just happen.
Just relax. Even if everyone else suspects Lenny and Lynette. Besides, I doubt Farina understands any more about what happened.
Thanks, Navia. Well, we'll be going then.
Best of luck to you.
Ah, finally, you're back. Well, how did your investigation go?
To be honest, you might be disappointed.
No. We're already very grateful that you were willing to help.
Well now, don't you all look disappointed? That was to be expected, of course. The guilty can... But don't let that stop you. I shall be terribly disappointed should you, my...
Since both parties are present, I declare that the trial regarding the magic show... Firstly, in order for the audience to understand the causes and results of the incident, could we please...
Yes, of course. I will explain while Lynette demonstrates on stage.
Thank you, Mr. Linney. In that case, I take your statement to be that you ran to and remained hidden within the magic box in the audience stands once the trick began, and thus could not have committed the crime.
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
In that case, I call upon the prosecution. Lady Farina.
Why, of course I do. Allow me to take the first shot and break this case wide open. Mr. Linney is clearly lying. There is no way you could have been in the box the whole time if you were to abduct Halsey and murder Cowell.
That is simply your hypothesis based on the presumption that I'm guilty.
Oh, is that so? And if I may ask, what did you hear while you were inside you?
The roaring countdown of the crowd, of course. That's how I kept track of the time and built anticipation for the finale.
And you didn't hear anything else at all? Nothing that...
No, nothing.
I see. But when the count reached 30 seconds or so, there was a thud.
Huh?
Hey, hang on!
Yeah, I'm sure he could have heard a noise that loud from inside the box.
I was right by the box, and I definitely heard the thud.
Look at those scales. Could those mean...
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to use the words of the magician. Of course, I have armed myself to do far more than smash your alibi. Confidence cannot go unfounded, and my foundations are rock solid. Tell me, aren't you and Lynette actually from the House of the...
The House of the Hearth?
No wonder they did something like this.
So the serial disappearances were the Fatsui's doing. Now it all makes sense.
I've got a feeling that what happened on stage probably...
That's irrelevant. Our identities have nothing to do with what happened.
Indeed. Then perhaps you could tell us everything that happened. Your first priority is to prove yourself innocent after all. I'm sure there is little that needs to be kept secret now. The Outlander is speechless. My, oh my, don't they look flabbergasted? Now comes the infighting and discord. Good thing I made all those preparations. See...
Hey, Linny!
Order! Order! Mr. Linney, allow me to re-establish the facts. First, when the thud was heard in the Opera House, you were neither in the box nor the tunnel. Second, you and Ms. Lynette are both... Are these claims true? Please answer my question, Mr.
I'm sorry. Yes, they're true, Your Honor.
I knew it!
Well, that's it. We might as well move on to this.
What should we do now?
Granted. In that case, what is your request?
Is that really necessary? They're already as good...
The defendant deceived their own attorneys. What is...
Order! Order, Your request is reasonable, and we shall adjourn.
So you would stick to Mr. Linney's defense even in that case. My dear audience, let's allow the...
Well, this is awkward. I didn't think the Hydro Archon would dig all that up. I'm sorry, Traveler and Paimon.
Yeah, sorry.
Paimon doesn't know where to start. We based our entire reasoning on the assumption that you weren't bad guys. Not to set the wrong tone or anything, but Paimon's really mad!
I'm very sorry. I know you're angry, and I know you've clashed with the Fatui several times before. But our organization is very, very large, and the Harbingers have very different
Right now, we want to save people.
That's right. I'm sure we're on the same page when it comes to this nation and the design. I knew if it weren't for our respective identities, That's why I didn't wish to flat out lie to you. But the truth is very important, but being completely transparent about everything would see us spending more effort than... Right. So, you be the judge. Heck, if I were you. You met a Fatus who works as a magician, a trickster by trade. But still, I'm asking you to trust me. I am no...
Sorry. Please forgive us.
Well, you both say that, but... Right, let's hear your answer first, and no lies now!
Of course. I'll answer any question you ask. We've been trying to find out how the Oratrice operates. We want to know why it has a consciousness. Why can it... During our investigations, we learned that the machine's core is beneath it. From that moment on, Lynette and I have been designing this box swap trick, with the objective of getting close to the core.
Is that why you needed a whole minute?
That's right. In truth, the audience would take about 75 seconds to count down from 60, while I would only need 15 to get to the... So, after jumping into the tunnel, I accessed the Opera House basement via the vent, and went to investigate the room in which...
That air vent was created during the construction of the tunnel specifically to execute the...
Well, nothing. As soon as I reached that room, which should have been impossible, of course, I was quite certain that I was the only one in the room. That voice seemed to recognize me and tried to speak to me. I chose to err on the side of caution and retreated. On the way back, I saw the broken vase and the clothes on the ground, but the countdown was almost finished. After that, the homicide occurred just as...
Well, that explains why you didn't hear the thud.
Because of that prophecy I told you about, of course. We must know all we can about this nation's...
That's the only way we can save everyone.
So, there you have it. The whole truth. It was never my wish to proceed under this cloud of mistrust, but like I said earlier, you can be the judge. If you want...
Well, Traveler, you decide. Paimon will follow your lead however you choose.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for giving us a chance.
The current problem is that the scales are tipped pretty bad. If we want to refute the Hydro Archon's accusations, we're gonna need a seriously... Huh? Oh, Paimon thinks she gets what you mean.
Both parties have returned to their positions. Let us continue the trial. When last we left off, Mr. Linney acknowledged the new evidence presented by Lady Farina as fact. Therefore, Lady Farina may continue stating her reconstruction of the events.
Ugh, that took long enough. At this stage, let's revisit that scene from Linney's perspective. As the countdown began, he entered the tunnel. When the flatbed trolley passed, he opened the box and got into an altercation with Halsey, which caused the loud thud. He did not realize that the sound could be heard by everyone in the opera house, which is why he claimed earlier that he could... Finally, he used the vase to knock her out, before making her change clothes to prevent At this time, Cowell arrived in the tunnel, having heard that strange noise. So Linney proceeded to knock him out too before... Afterward, Linney passed the unconscious Halsey to his accomplice through the magic box in the audience stands. And there you have it. That's the truth behind what happened.
Does the defendant's side have any objections to Lady Farina's description of the events?
The key to refuting Lady Farina is the order of events. According to Linney, he left via the vent after entering the tunnel. He couldn't have had that... Linney went to the room that contains the Oratrice's core. This is the actual truth. Linney did not take part in the underground altercation. He only witnessed traces of the aftermath.
Attention! Ace Detective Paimon has something to say! When the countdown started, Linney did indeed go into the tunnel. But he immediately used a vent to access the Opera House basement, which is where the underground core of the Once he reached that area, he heard a voice in what should have been... The crime scene had already developed by the time he reached the tunnel again. And in order to complete... Finally, he reached the surface. And that was when the accident happened from his point of view. Therefore, he's innocent! Paimon did it! Paimon actually managed to say all that!
In other words, you believe that he knew nothing of the incident?
That's right!
My reasoning?
If that's the case, then if Cowell hadn't entered the tunnel, who was the entire setup meant to assuming that what you say is true, Linny only needed to kidnap the young girl to cause a new disappearance case.
Oh, they have a point.
That's right, you tell him! And that's why they're partners of mine.
Oh, well, your denial is very strident, I'll give you that. But what proof do you have to... Of course I do. If he had been in the magic box the whole time, how could he... You're saying that he wasn't.
Sure we don't need to give this more thought. Paimon thinks there's something... That's right! Linny wasn't in the box or in the tunnel. That's why he didn't hear anything strange during the performance. This means that when the crime happened, Linny had already entered the basement. But the same clue you used to disprove his alibi has now become the best proof! How do you like that?
Well played. To think you'd use such logic. Well then, if it wasn't Linny who committed the crimes, then who was it?
The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. He would have been able to tamper with the equipment.
Huh? That can't be right. Are you serious? The killer was, in fact, Cowell, the deceased!
Oh, is that so? How interesting! Let's hear your reasoning then.
What I must do next is recreate the truth. What Cowell did, and how he went from would-be perpetrator Linny was not in the tunnel at that moment. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. So, there must... The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. No one entered or left the Opera House through its entrances. So... The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing hall... It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. They would likely have bumped into... No one entered or left the opera house through its entrances. No one entered or left the opera house through its The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing... It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. So...
What's wrong, Traveler? Are you still having trouble figuring things?
I see how it is. So this was all just a bluff.
Look, since we're at a dead end, why not consider a Just like the trick as it transpired, the end result must have been...
If only we knew how Halsey disappeared.
Well, that would be nice, but the tunnel only has 3 exits, and none of them seem very like... And it's not like this is a magic trick where you can just make a real live person disappear. You know, like you did from that one...
Excuse my interruption, dear opponents, but do you not see that the crowd is...
If the defense is unable to make further effective arguments, we will move on to the next stage of the trial.
Lenny was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal ample time. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal. The deceased's name is Cowell, Lenny's assistant. The vase was not broken by chance. It was used to cover important evidence. The water.
Oh, Paimon gets it! It all comes together if Halsey disappeared instead of being kidnapped. Lynette escaped from the water tank, vanishing gradually and leaving only clothes behind. If there's a similar method where a person could be transformed into water...
Oh, just a moment, please. How could a person ever be transformed into water? This is reality we're talking about here. Must we really? I should think that of anyone. Your magic tricks are ultimately just illusions and misdirection. But Halsey's disappearance is very real.
Even so, I trust the Traveler's judgment. The truth must be out there somewhere. Perhaps some new line of reasoning may open if we try to gather all the focal points that don't make sense. Since Cal was the deceased, we haven't placed much attention on him. But given that we aren't making much progress with the case, it wouldn't hurt to have a look at his belongings, would it?
People really do come up with all sorts of harebrained schemes when at the end of their rope. The way I see it.
Nevertheless, I believe that this is a reasonable request on the part of an attorney. Since the trial does indeed appear to be at an impasse, guards, please step into the lounge and examine the personal effect.
We are still examining the items, but we have already made critical progress that we feel We discovered several test tubes of fluid within Cowell's baggage, each labeled separately. The notebook in his backpack claims that these fluids are... what?
The primordial sea.
The note's contents also indicate that Cowell belonged to an organization that sells illegal drugs and that he had an accomplice. The notebook has many entries concerning safe usage of these fluids, in which the keyword dissolve appears. One of these tubes was labeled Opera Epiclese, along with yesterday's date. It is empty. The notes also state that these dissolution properties work exclusively on people from Fontaine. It's likely that Halsey was chosen as some sort of As such, we believe that the defense's hypothesis is...
You've got to be kidding! People dissolve...
It's something so ridiculous.
Wait a moment. This reminds me of a certain prophecy, but...
Huh. If people can become water, does that mean that the water tank's real use was as a means to hide... Wait just a minute. Could that mean...
Demoiselle, wait! What about your partners?
Let's go. Just trust me.
Order! Order! It is undeniable that further examination of the Still, let us assume that these clues are indeed authentic, albeit with the understanding that Ms. Halsey has yet... Guards, please continue examining the items along these lines. Mr. Linney, it appears your hypothesis is supported by the evidence.
Of course. Thank you, Your Honor. If we uphold this hypothesis, I believe that many of this case's seemingly unrelated clues can be connected together.
Right! Like the metal hook! That one didn't make sense at all. Let's think about this. Cowell's methods must have something to do with that water...
The deceased's name is Cowell, Linney's assistant. The water from the primordial sea should already have been prepped. The water from the primordial sea should already have been prepped before Halsey entered the magic box. Now it seems like the hook rope was not meant for another magic trick. Lynette was in the magic box on stage the entire time. I remember there was something else within the inner layer of that box.
It's Ace Detective Paimon's time to shine again! In the original plan, Cowell would tamper with the water tank rope and the number selector securing his target. When the magic box containing Halsey was lowered, the metal hook would retract gradually and pierce the balloon at the top of the box. When the balloon attached to the box popped, the water from the primordial seed inside it would pour down and dissolve Halsey. Afterward, Cowell would enter the tunnel and break the flower vase to conceal the water inside the tunnel. But he encountered something unexpected in the tunnel and wound up being fatally hit by the same water tank he meant to use to cover his tracks.
Huh. That does make sense.
That actually links together a lot of the more confusing pieces.
Oh dear, what do I do? Even I think...
Now, it seems like the only point of contention remaining is the exact circumstances that led to Cal. His notes mentioned he had an accomplice who could be related to the situation.
On that note, the guards have just contacted me indicating that they uncovered new... I shall now invite him on stage to share it with us.
Thank you, Your Honor. We were just inspecting the luggage of the other people and we found an identical sample of the water from the primordial sea among Linney's personal effects.
What?
That can't be.
Oh, I see. Well, does this not clear all doubt, my dear citizens, my loyal audience? Linney did not need to take part in the dissolution of the young woman at all. Indeed, he did leave, having made modifications to the props beforehand. His accomplice Cowl then caused Hall's, but upon his return, in cruel avarice, Linny desired so ultimately he knocked Cowl out, and the tool meant to cover the crime up also now, as much as I regret having come to such a viciously straightforward conclusion. Am I right, Mr. Linny?
We've used up all the evidence we collected. Is this the end of the road?
Oh no! Paimon can't think of anything seems using the water as new evidence was too good a move.
I think we've all seen enough now. And we have I believe this is indeed the finale! Now then, my good, noble Chief Justice.
Excuse me, everyone, but
Miss, I must ask you not to shout.
Oh, come on. Don't be hasty. I have a good reason for interrupting, you know. Now, would anyone here like to take a little break from all this? I'll show you an amazing trick. One that can bring a young woman who has disappeared back in the flesh.
But what in the world is she saying?
No offense, miss, but miracles like that are beyond my scope as a magician.
Come on now, don't be silly. Magic is all about misdirection, isn't it? It often conceals the truth while presenting a fascinating illusion. But once everyone believes the illusion, can't magic reveal the truth to them once again? And wouldn't such a trick be the most marvelous finale to today's performance? Come on, Linny and Lynette, give it another go. Don't worry. Spina di Rosula has made, but as the magic makers and stars of the show, I think I should leave the final performance to you.
I understand.
And voila!
Sorry for the interruption.
Wait, isn't that Halsey? So the whole thing about people dissolving wasn't true after all?
To be clear, I'm only here because this person told me that if I testified, the merit of doing so would lessen my sentence. I was hiding outside this room listening to the proceedings because I was afraid that I would be the one put on trial. I was just feeling happy that no one had noticed me. And then before I knew it, she caught...
That'll teach you to underestimate us three.
Where should I begin? I'm sorry. I'm the one who killed Cowl.
What? Why?
Firstly, my name isn't Halsey. It's Lillian. And I heard that Linny's show was gonna be a real thriller, but I missed the chance to buy a ticket, so that's how I make a living. I steal stuff here and there. But I was noticed at the harbor a few days ago, and I barely got away. Linny was the one who caught me.
Hey, no wonder you look familiar. Liddy even mentioned that you were pretty skilled.
Well, and I thought that would have been the end of it, but then the number selector chose me. He even mentioned the Fortress of Meripede. That's a prison, isn't it? So you can imagine how shocked I was. So I played along with the show while looking for an opening to flee. But then I got water poured on me for no reason, and then someone... I wasn't going to take that lying down, so I knocked him out and stuffed him into the box. There was nowhere to run from there, though, so I had to change my clothes and hide in a box containing performance cards. I slipped out after the first guard arrived at the scene and continued hiding inside the opera house.
Can a person even hide in there?
But I swear, I didn't know that the water tank would fall down. Really, I swear. Had I known that, I wouldn't have put him in the magic box. I may be a thief, but I'm no killer.
Well, that makes everything pretty clear now, doesn't it?
This time, we need to tell the entire story from... The strange sound wasn't from a fight. It was Lily Ann's attempt to break out when she was frightened. flower vase was not broken to cover anything up, but was smashed during the struggle between Lillian and Cowell. Lillian was afraid that she would be recognized if she left, so she changed clothes and hid, biding her time. Just what one might expect of an experienced thief.
And it's Ace Detective Paimon time! Having been selected out of the blue, Lillian panicked. Her panic only intensified after she entered the tunnel and had water poured on her head. So she kicked the door open. Hearing the commotion, Cowell leapt into the tunnel, only to discover that Lillian... He did not know that Lillian was not from Fontaine, but was a thief. Mistakenly believing that the water from the primordial sea needed time to take... The two broke the flower vase during the struggle, but Lillian came out on top. With no way of escaping, she changed her clothes and hid in the costume trunk She knew that she would have to go through guard inspection if she tried to leave afterward.
She had already become desperately hungry by the time we were chatting over macarons. So, she swiped 2 of them right under our noses.
At this point, all the events that happened in the tunnel have
so that's the... Bravo!
Now then, Lady Farina, do you wish to speak against the defense's statements? Please answer the question, Lady Farina. Also, if I may add,
What? Are you reading my mind now? No, I have no further arguments. I admit defeat.
Wow, look at that! She's like a deflated...
If there are no objections, then as the Chief Justice of Fontaine, I shall once... The actual perpetrator of the serial disappearances, Cowell, selected his next victim from the audience reservation list. With some modifications to the selector, he could ensure that the pre-selected young woman would be chosen. To cover up any evidence while committing the deed, Cowell thought of allowing the water tank to fall, which would conceal the water left behind after the young woman was dissolved. He also tampered with the rope suspending the water tank, using the fireworks at the end of the performance to cause the tank to drop and hide the watermarks. He poured the water from the primordial sea into a balloon during the preparation of the magic box and stuck it to the box's lid. Finally, he passed the prepared hook on a rope through the gap in the magic box's door when bringing the young woman to said box. When the magic trick officially began, the box containing the woman was lowered into the tunnel, tightening the hook rope and bursting the balloon containing the water. If all had gone to plan, the young woman would be dissolved at this time. However, Lillian was not. Realizing that there was trouble, Cowell entered the tunnel and met Lillian, thinking that the waters had not yet taken effect. However, his opponent was more capable than he thought, and he was overcome, knocked unconscious, and placed into the magic box. Lillian, according to her own statements, then changed clothes and hid until the performance ended. As for Linny, he was in the underground structures within the opera house. From this reconstruction of events, we can conclude that Linny, the... While there is much in Linny and Lillian's conduct that should still be investigated separately, this case, at least, can be handed over to the Oratrice to make the final decision. As such, Linny and Lynette are officially declared not guilty.
Great work, partners.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Next, I think we deserve an explanation. How did you find the water from the primordial sea in Linny's bag?
Right! Your discovery caused me to make a serious mistake, you know.
I suspect that the accomplice mentioned in Cowell's notes was not Linny, but you, yes? I'm sure you know what you must do to lessen your sentence.
Speak quickly! Unless you want to earn yourself a one-way ticket to Coupon Town.
I was just following orders. We were supposed to place blame for the serial disappearances onto Linny, and thus cause suspicion to fall on the Fatui. The higher-ups said this was the best—
And now that your plan has fallen through, and the secrets of the water have been revealed, you have become a liability. Therefore, you would be wise to tell everything you know.
Yes, I'll tell you everything I know. Our boss discovered that the water can cause people to dissolve. It can also be made into a potion, which when extremely diluted, can cause people to experience unforgettable— We've been in this business for a while now, and have made decent mora off it. The disappearances were also—
And now he can no longer talk.
Such ruthlessness.
An outrageous act. All present, please submit to inspection immediately.
So, we're just going back now? That's true, but...
Traveler, Paimon! Please wait.
Linny...
I know you may not want to speak to me right now. Maybe you don't, but still. Let me thank you again for defending me to the end, even after you learned that I'm a member of the Fatui. I guess. But I didn't approach you with any ulterior motives or ill intent. I've spoken to you as myself. Just as for why I'm a Fatus, it's because the goals of the House of the Hearth align with— That was how Father, who you might know as the Knave, approached recruiting—
The Knave? The one who controls the House of the Hearth? She's your father?
That's right. And since we're here, I was wondering, back when our parents first died, Lynette and I were left wandering. To survive, I took to surreptitiously observing an older street performer who didn't— I took my sister through several streets until we found a crowded corner. To my surprise, we proved to be pretty popular, and we could at least stop worrying about where our next meal— Before long, an aristocrat came to me and claimed that he would—
So you went from orphans to nobility just like that?
That was how we felt at first, too. As if fate was on our side and we could— But I gradually discovered that while we were called foster children, he was really after— He would constantly take me to all sorts of banquets to garner attention.
That doesn't seem too bad either. Better than...
It took a while for me to realize just how— After one particular performance at a banquet, I discovered that Lynette was— I waited a long time after we returned home, but she did not come back. The answer he gave me was— She caught the eye of the most eminent person at the banquet, so I sent her over as a gift. I mean, you'll be able to perform—
Oh no. So he was gonna... But wouldn't Fontaine's laws...
As far as outsiders are concerned, this is a relationship akin to adoption or foster care. I managed to ferret out the location of the mansion of that so-called eminent person and hurried through the night. But all I saw was the moonlit ground covered in blood. And the name—
So, she'd already taken care of that guy.
That's right. She had rescued my sister before she could come to any harm, and had even discovered several girls hidden in a— Father, the Knave, might have seen something in me. The House of the Hearth welcomes you, for your interests align with ours. Here, I was hesitant to trust her. I had just— But she was also quick to destroy the noble who had taken us in at first, giving us back our free—
Oh, so that's how the two of you joined the House of the Hearth.
She has her own plan. She has gained permission from the Tsaritsa to first use the Gnosis' power when she obtains it.
So, she believes in that prophet?
That's right. The whole House of the Hearth is currently working to combat that. Today's case has also proven that people from Fontaine can indeed dissolve into some sort of water, thus further support all of us house members here. Lady Arlecchino herself included are from Fontaine. To us orphans, the only connection we have left to this world, apart from our family.
So, from small deeds like distributing magic pockets to huge schemes like...
It's alright, I understand. I just hope you can understand that even as a member of the house, I have never stopped making my own decisions. If you should need anything at all in the future, feel free to find me.
Bye, Linny!
Hey there. What was with the disappearing act you pulled right as the trial ended?
Were you looking for us, Navia?
Well, this whole thing isn't exactly over, is it? I do feel that we're getting closer to solving... Huh? What's wrong, my dear partner?
Besides, are you sure we're the ones who can crack a case that's been cold for decades? And given that there's new evidence from the trial, there should be a trail of breadcrumbs.
Ah. I see. Well, I won't lie. I'm a little shocked to hear that from you. Sorry. I might have been too presumptuous.
Don't say that, Navia.
Ah, and we were having so much fun investigating with you, too. It was like having new waters flowing into a stagnant mire, causing new hope to spring forth. Sorry about that. Wait, shall we have a farewell meal?
Huh? Do we really need to get that formal?
Well, I'd just like to have a proper ending to every important memory. Anyway, it would just be a meal, so it shouldn't take up too much.
You don't have to twist Paimon's arm. If Boss Navia's treating, count Paimon in.
Oh, wonderful. In that case, why don't we return to the court of Fontaine and head to the Hotel de Boer? I believe we'll make it...
All right, then. Let's have our farewell meal.